G'day guys, hope you're having a good Friday today. Today we've got a 2010 MacBook Pro. This comes from Victoria, from one of my volume customers. He's a 92-year-old technician, and he likes to fix all of this old computer stuff. So he fixes all this, he takes in all the stuff that I don't like to work on at all. So he's complaining that this is not charging. So I've turned the computer on. Well, I thought it was on. It's turned itself off. There it is. Okay, so when I try to click on anything, it's not working. So I can actually select it by pressing the enter button, but I can't click on any of these. So there's a problem with the trackpad or something wrong with the logic board. Something else I've noticed just by looking at it is the hinge is, customer never puts screws into his board, so he sends them like this. He wraps them up very nicely but sends them to me with no screws in them. So this will be quite easy to open. I can hear something rattling around in here, and it's a hard drive. So as you can see, he hasn't sent the battery, and also the hard drive is just sitting in there waiting to fall out. So I could probably lift this drive right out. So it's actually connected, this hard drive. It's connected and it's working, but for some reason he hasn't put any screws in it. So let's have a quick look at this board and see if we can try to figure out why the mouse pad's not clicking. Okay, so for the trackpad, we have a look at the trackpad connector, and that's it right there. That's the trackpad connector, and this is the trackpad chip, the one that we're interested in. So this particular chip here controls a USB signal, and it basically sends all the data like a USB keyboard would send through to the computer. So it works off a USB signal, even though this isn't, it doesn't look like a USB right here. This is actually like a USB chip. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick look at the connector and see if the connector is the problem. So we'll pull that off. Actually, what I've noticed is that the connector is routed over the top, so it should actually be routed underneath. It should be routed underneath the computer, underneath here. So we can do that. We'll have to pull the board out for that, but it just means that he's tried troubleshooting this already, which could be an issue. So we'll have a look at the connector itself. The connector looks fine. The keyboard connector looks fine as well, and that chip looks okay. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to do some tests on the chip. And that fan is spinning hard because I removed the connector. So you should never do that when you're working on a computer. Turn the computer off before you do anything. So this picture here is of the USB chip, the one in question, and what we're looking for is the input signal. So up the top left of the screen, you can see PP3V3_S4. that runs to R5704, which is a 1.5 ohm resistor, and then it comes into the chip on pin 49. So if we were to check pin 49, that should be 3.3 volts or close to it. So that's pin 49. So we'll have a look at pin 49. So that's that one there. So we can check it on that resistor, or we can check it on the chip itself. We'll have a look at the resistor and see if that's easier to test. Okay. So that'll be this resistor there. We don't want to touch it with our probes, otherwise we'll wreck something. So we're going to get our multimeter, and we're going to switch it over to voltage. Which is that one there. So that's for measuring DC voltage. Okay. Okay, so we're getting 3.295 volts, which is exactly what we need. I'm not sure if you can see that. So on the multimeter there, yep, so you should be able to see that. I'll switch over to this camera view. Okay, so one probe goes to ground, any ground on the board, and the other goes on any side of that resistor. And we're getting 3.315, and we're supposed to be getting 3.3 volts, which is correct. So what this tells me is that the chip is working, which means one of two things. Either the trackpad itself is faulty, or the trackpad connector is faulty. So we'll have to test them. I'm just going to guess that it's the trackpad connector because it's already off. So we'll try another trackpad connector, and we'll pull this one off first. So we will we'll unplug it first. So we'll pull the power out, wait for the fan to stop, and then we'll flick this connector up. Then we'll go up to the trackpad side, and we'll disconnect that as well. And we want to inspect it for any signs of damage as well. So pull that out. So that looks pretty healthy to me. What we'll do is we'll get another trackpad connector. Here's the new trackpad connector. It's a known good trackpad connector. So that's it there. So get this one out of the way, and we will try to plug this one in. Okay, and we're just going to route it over the top as well, because this board will come out, because I'd like to have a look at this board, because every single board I get from this guy, there's always something else wrong with it. So there'll always be some liquid damage or something like that. He buys them off eBay marketplace, dirt cheap, and I think he wastes his money, because he's got to send it to me if he can't fix it, and then I charge him you know, a fee to try to repair it. Okay, we'll get our charger, we'll plug it in, let it start up, and this is probably going to take about 1 to 2 minutes. So in the meantime, we'll just have a look at the board view. We'll just have a little look around. We'll have a look at the board itself. We may as well have a quick inspection. So straight away everything's looking pretty ugly. So that's just grime. So this has had liquid damage. Either that or whoever owned it was just filthy. Here's the LCD connector, and straight away I can see some other stuff of concern. Okay, so that's the backlight fuse there, that little P fuse, and I know that that fuse is working, otherwise I wouldn't be getting backlight at all. So there's no reason to change that. And that looks disgusting as well. So this is all the backlight boost circuit, but because we're getting backlight, there's no problem. But what we will do is we will clean this board up in an ultrasonic machine and get it looking nice and clean again. This is the SMC chip. So this is the main chip that is responsible for turning everything else on. There's some ugly looking capacitors that could be cleaned up. So let's switch back and have a look at the trackpad and see if we've repaired it. And it's still booting up. Okay. Okay, so we're there. Let's check this trackpad out, see if we're getting any clicks. Okay, so it's not clicking. So that can only mean one more thing, is that it's the actual trackpad itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly remove this trackpad. Okay. And how you do that is you have a few screws. Very easy to take off these trackpads. You've got 2 screws there. That one and that one. And then on the other side of the trackpad, you have that one and that one. Hi, Carter. Hi, darling. Okay, I'll make it the camera bigger for my darling. Okay, so I'll take these 4 screws out. My granddaughter is watching me. Okay. So once you've got those 4 screws out, basically the trackpad's just going to fall out like that. So there's the trackpad, probably faulty. I do have another one here. Here's the new trackpad. So basically it just slides in from the back end, and then you put those 4 screws back in. Okay, 1 screw. Second. Third. And 4th. Okay, then we'll get a trackpad connector, and we're just going to route it over the top. We will pull this board out and route it through the bottom where it's supposed to be very soon. So while that's actually booting up, we do have another problem to troubleshoot on this board, and that's battery is not charging. So we'll get a battery. The customer didn't send a battery, so that's real bad, because in order to test if your charging circuit is working, you have to actually have a charger present. So I've got this great big huge battery here that's not for this computer, but it'll do. So we'll just plug that in. And we will plug in. Okay, so it's recognizing the charger. So it's turning on. So while it's turning on, we'll troubleshoot the charging circuit. I'm getting 18.4 volts going into the computer, and it's actually drawing 2.5 amps. So without the battery connected, this computer will draw up to 0.8 of an amp to 1 amp. With a battery connected and charging, it will be over 2 amps. So I can actually verify that this is actually charging, so there's nothing wrong with the charging circuit on this, which means only one thing, and that's the customer's battery is faulty, so he'll need to replace his battery. There's nothing wrong with the charging circuit. Yeah, it's as simple as that. There's nothing wrong with it. So we'll have a look at the trackpad, see if we've fixed that problem. I'm going to pull this battery out because there's no point in it being there, because I know that it's working and I know that it's charging. So when I pulled the battery out, the amperage has dropped. So we're at 1.6, 1.7 amps. Okay. So we'll just wait for that startup voice to come again. And this is a pretty quick job. I think if that fixes the problem with the trackpad, then we just need to pull this out, put it through the ultrasonic cleaner, which is at the back of me there. Yeah, you can't see it. There it is. So that machine there is a ultrasonic cleaner. That'll clean all that grime off and get it ready for going into a reflow oven for 4 hours, and then we can reinstall the board for the customer and send it back to Victoria. So this isn't the only job we've got from Victoria today. Like most days, we probably get about 5 of them a day from Victoria. There we go.
Press the return key.
So we'll test this out. Okay. So that's working now.
若要以简体中文作为主，若要以繁体中文作为主要语言，请按下 Return 键。
To use English for the main language, press the return key.
Yep, so that's working. So I've just selected English as the language, and it'll take me to the next screen. There we go.
Pour utiliser le français comme langue principale, appuyez sur la touche retour.
Oops. You don't want that to happen. Okay. So this is what happens when customers don't bring screws. Stuff falls out. But that's definitely working now. So that's good. Okay, so we're going to turn this off now. That's all good for that computer. I probably would like to have a look underneath this board, so I'll quickly pull it out so we can have a look at it on the camera. So you'll need a T5 Torx screw. You're going to get these from J-Car. A set of them is about $30, or you can buy the full kit for about $50, and that includes so many other tools for iPhones and stuff like that. So right now I'm just disconnecting this board. Try to do it as quickly as possible. So basically every single screw just comes out. And I'm actually surprised that my customer didn't pull this board out already. Okay, we'll take the RAM out. So there's 2 sticks of RAM in this computer. They're two 2GB sticks, which gives 4 gigs to the entire system, which is a small amount. So nobody buys these computers these days. They're, in all honesty, they're just garbage. They break down. They're just so unreliable. They have problems with the graphics chips. Okay, we'll pull off the Wi-Fi connector, the CD-ROM connector, the SATA drive connector for the hard drive, keyboard connector, keyboard backlight connector, the LVDS connector for the LCD, and the 2 screws for the DC in board, and that gives the computer power. And the fan. Okay, when we pull any of these connectors off, we have a quick inspection just to make sure that there's nothing broken, nothing stuck inside the fans. If the fans are filthy, then we give them a clean out with compressed air. Okay, the Wi-Fi connector comes off, and the speaker. And then we should be able to pull the board out. Okay, if you're lazy like me, I leave this part here connected and I just pull it off from the back end, just like that. And then we've got the board. So we'll put this board to the side. Okay. Okay, so we've seen the front side of this board. So if there was a problem with the charging circuit, then you'd be looking in this area here. So in some of my other videos, I've shown what the ISL6259 chip does. It charges the battery. That's the part that's responsible for charging the battery. But because there's nothing wrong with the ISL6259, we can move on to other things. So we're definitely going to put this through the ultrasonic machine, because there's some gross stuff on the top there. And we're also going to clean this in the ultrasonic machine as well. So all of this will come up nice and clean. Hopefully it doesn't wreck it. Ultrasonic machines can wreck stuff, and that's just the risk that we take. But we have to clean this board because it's real bad. Okay, let's flip it over. Okay, your speaker connectors. Some goo there. This stuff here is thermal paste. So it comes in a tube like this. What that tells me is that this chip has been removed before. Probably it's possible that the customer, who's also a technician, he's a 92-year-old technician, has pulled this off and put thermal paste in, and that's what we do to service a computer. Ideally, he should have cleaned this whole entire board before putting any of this stuff down. And when you leave this stuff smeared on the ball like that, it can become conductive, meaning that it can wreck things. So when you're putting thermal paste onto any component onto a board, make sure it doesn't get onto the actual board itself and just sticks to the actual chip that you're trying to put thermal paste on. There's no reason to smear it everywhere. Okay, so this is our DCN board, and this is the part that your charger plugs into on a MacBook. We leave it connected so we can turn the thing on while it's still while we've got it out on the bench. So just having a look through here, looking, can't see anything that's full on damaged yet. So here's some more thermal paste. So this is quite bad. So that being on these 2 points here, for example, would conduct electricity, meaning that this stuff could create a short to ground, which is bad. So that fluffy stuff that's on it, I believe, will be from a towel or a cotton bud. Cool, so we'll prepare this for the ultrasonic cleaner, and how we do that is we're going to take off all the heat sinks. So we'll take that off there, 3 screws, a couple of screws on this one. So we'll just remove those. Should only take 30 seconds to do that. Because we don't want to stick this in the ultrasonic machine with your heat sinks on it. So that's where you put your thermal paste, that grey stuff. And that doesn't need to go into the ultrasonic machine. And we'll take these ones off as well. And try not to lose the screws in the meantime, because it'll be more than likely Monday that I get back to this. So just as I thought, there's fresh thermal paste on here. And just where my finger is. Cool, so we'll just clean that stuff off. I just prep it with a cotton bud, and I can tell that the stuff is fresh because it's coming off so easy, and I know what sort of thermal paste this is because I actually provided it to this customer for free. So my customer in Victoria, his name is Trevor. He doesn't watch YouTube or anything like that. He's 92 years old and he fixes computers. And I met him because he was complaining about another technician who was doing the dodgies on him. So he contacted myself, and I've been servicing him and his computers for the last 4 years. So he's been a very good customer, and he brings a lot of business to us. So that's that. We're going to stick that into the ultrasonic machine, which is right behind me. full of water. And we just turn it on. It's at 40 degrees right now, and it's oscillating between 28 and 40 hertz. And I think we're done for the day. That's it. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you've learned something. If you would like your board featured on any of my live videos, I'll be happy to fix them for you. Shout out to me, give me a call, send me a PM, whatever. This also gets streamed out to YouTube and out to Facebook at the same time. So have a great weekend, guys. Thank you.